Welcome to episode 235 of the Ageist podcast. Today, I want to welcome back Denise Kirtley. She's a coach, she's a wellness guide, and she's somebody who's helping redefine what aging really means. And today on the show, what we're going to be talking about is the mindset that underlies transformation. How do we feel about ourselves? How do we feel about ourselves in the future? And how influential is that in the actions that we bring to bear in terms of if we want to transform ourselves in some way? And by transform, I mean bring ourselves into a healthier state.
We cannot worry about the things that naturally happen as we age. Do what you want to do to try to improve it, but at some point, it's about acceptance and embracing yourself as you are. You always see these things 50's the new 30. Women are getting fit, 50's the new 30. No, we're not trying to look 30. Don't put that on us. Like, we're trying to look our age. I want to look my age, but I want to look like the best I can for my age.
Really quick, before we dive in, I want to ask, are you part of the Ageist community? If not, head over to ageist.com/newsletter and join our smart, bold cohort. Each Thursday, we send out our award-winning magazine full of the latest health science, culture, things that you need to be living in that 360 ecosystem that we put out at Ageist to help you live your best life now. So stay with us. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Today's show is sponsored by Fatty 15. Fatty 15 features the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years and is on a mission to restore your long-term health. Go to fatty15.com/ageist. Use the code ageist at checkout for 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit. I use the Bond Charge red light panel every morning. It helps with recovery, sleep, and keeps my energy dialed in. It's not hype, it's science-backed and part of how I stay at my best. Use code AGEIST15 to save 15% and start feeling the difference at bondcharge.com. Today's show is also brought to you by Our Place. I've just started using some of their pots and pans. Oh my God. Okay, so they're beautiful, and guess what? They don't have any of those nasty chemical coatings on them that are, unfortunately, forever chemicals. I don't want to be eating that stuff. You don't either. Go to FromOurPlace.com, enter the code AGEIST at checkout, receive 10% off site-wide. Our Place offers a 100-day trial with free shipping and returns. Denise has a brand new coaching app, and in the show today, we're going to talk about helping people to visualize their future in a positive way to power through more than the 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. Because, as she says, a lot of people can do things for 5 weeks, but if we don't normalize it and give folks a better mindset and a vision of themselves in the future, things tend to drop off. So that's what she's great at. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's give Denise a call. Hey, Denise, good to see you again. Where does this podcast find you today?
So I'm home in Los Angeles, where I spend all my days lately. Yeah, it's good to see you. I think it's been about a year and a half since we last talked, so I'm excited to be back. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's bust into it. You've been helping women, correct me if I get this wrong, transform their bodies in midlife.
Correct. So I started a company, I think I was just starting when we last spoke, called Rebellion Body. Rebellion Body meaning we are rebelling against that old midlife narrative, which we are smashing right now. And we have transformational coaching and I have a fitness app. And we really work with midlife women that are looking to get strong. A lot of them are looking to lose the menopausal weight gain and really become the fittest versions of themselves in midlife and beyond. We have clients into their 70s as well.
Let's get to sort of the underlying bit here. So, why? Women come to you. What is their why?
Some of them don't know. And I think that is a real problem. A lot of women are like, I've gained a lot of weight in midlife. I'm doing what I used to do, but all of a sudden I'm 20 or 30 pounds heavier. That's exactly what my issue was. And so they want to get rid of this weight. Look, this stuff is hard. So on most days, that is not a compelling enough reason to keep going. Like when things are hard, you need to be able to dig into your why. And it needs to be more than I just want to lose weight, because that is not compelling enough to keep you going necessarily. You really have to have a vision for what you're trying to achieve and something really exciting that you're pursuing beyond the physical, I believe, in order to make a lasting change. And so we work with women to try to really dig into that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So then I'm wondering, how do you get to the why? Because you're right. Things that are hard, you're not going to, maybe do it for a couple of weeks or a month, but it's not enough.
Exactly. I always like to say I used to be a 5 weeker. So, like, for a couple days, for a couple decades, like in my 30s and 40s, I could do a diet and get to like week 5, and then I'd quit because it got hard, right? So, we're getting into the hard stuff right away, like right off the bat. The hardest part of transformation is the mindset. It really is. Like, I can tell you what to eat generally, eat more protein, track macros, and do your weight training, and you follow it and you're going to get a result, but it's keeping you going that is the hard part. This is a complex thing because we have been told as midlife women that we need to give up. Like you turn 50, you get the black balloons for your birthday, it's over, it's about to decline, you go out to pasture, we're kind of done, right? Like that's sort of the story that we were told.
Um,
And we bought that for decades. So now I'm challenging you, and not just me, like women who are doing this, you got to be challenged to say, okay, no, we got to put that aside. That was BS. You can have any kind of life that you want. But now you have to start to create that, right? You have to start to have a vision for that. You have to dream about what is it that you actually want to do? Because in midlife, we are given such opportunity. We have made money. You know, a lot of us, we have more financial freedom than we used to when we were 20. You know, we can do more things. We have a lot more wisdom. For women who have children, a lot of them are out of the house. So you can do more than you used to. You could travel if that's part of your future that you want to create. For me, I was a workaholic. You know, I decided I don't want to work that kind of hours anymore, although I'm working a lot in my current business. But you know what I mean? Like we have choices that we didn't used to have. And so now it's about, we really challenge our clients to start to craft that life, that vision, something that's compelling that you're excited about. Because if you can really get yourself into that mind space again, that's going to keep you on track. Like, hey, I want to, I want to travel and I want the freedom to do that. And I want to feel like I look good and I can lift my luggage and I'm mobile and I can do the walking, or I want to go on a trek across Switzerland and the Alps, whatever it is. Those kinds of things are going to keep you on track. Looking better in a bathing suit one day is not going to do it. So I think the challenge is getting women to dream again. And that is hard, actually, for a lot of us because we have been told not to.
the mindset and the vision part.
Yeah.
My feeling is mindset is just the bedrock of everything. If one has a positive view of themselves in the future, they will tend to behave in a way to cause that to happen.
Correct.
And it's something that's of great interest to me, giving people the power of imagination. One of the things that, we talked about earlier is there's a lot of social media with you in a bikini.
Yes, exactly.
And I can see why you may get some pushback for that, but that seems to tie into the vision of what's possible in the future. Is that why you do these?
Yeah, it's funny. I think everybody on social media gets a certain amount of backlash, right? No matter what area you're in, you're going to get that. But, if you're a midlife woman and you're posting videos and photos of yourself in a bikini, believe me, you're going to get it. I've been called fit grandma, go granny, but those are the kind ones. And then I'll get like, why are you doing this? You're narcissistic, everything you could imagine. And I understand where that's coming from. But here's the thing. Women to start on a path of transformation, because we've been told these things are not possible, that your body almost becomes broken in midlife, you can't build muscle, you can't do this, you can't do that, they need to know what is possible for the average woman. I am the average woman there. I was not an athlete. There's nothing special about me, right? I don't have magical genes or anything. So, when you see examples of me and hundreds or if not thousands of other women who have done this before you start to believe it's possible. And the first step on stepping on that path of transformation is belief. If you don't believe it, you're not going to do it. But when you see it enough and you
Mhm.
start to believe it, that's going to cause you to do it. So, me posting myself in a bikini is really about showing what's possible. If I was wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants, you're not going to be inspired. You're not going to think, oh, I want to do that too. And I get messages from women every day who are like, you inspired me. And I just got a message the other day, and it was such a simple message, but it really touched me. It was just so profound where this woman DM'd me, and she never DM'd me before. You get these DMs from strangers all the time. And she said, you gave me hope today. And I thought, you know what? You can call me whatever you want on my bikini photos, but I'm doing this for the women that have hope, right? Because you feel hopeless. This weight comes on and you feel hopeless, and it's depressing when you're going through menopause.
Thinking back towards this, the mindset bit,
Yes.
Some of the things that weight training and thinking about what you're eating, this can get hard. There's no other word for it. It's hard, right? It can be hard. It's not impossible, but it's not magic. Like you, you need to do
Right.
stuff. What do you say to people when they call you up and they said, Denise, wow, this is hard.
I find a lot of women, I'll be frank, they want the result, but they don't want the work. Do you know what
Huh.
I mean? And listen, if you are going to become the fittest versions of yourself in midlife, you're going to pretty much have to turn your world upside down. You have to change your habits, right? You have to really create a different lifestyle than you've had. And it is hard. But we have to accept that that is the price we pay. That is the ticket, that's the admission ticket to your best life. I always think about I really liked literature when I was in school, and I think about that Jack Frost poem, The Road Less Traveled. I'm going to paraphrase, but two roads appeared before me in the woods, and I chose the one less traveled, and that has always made the difference. I really believe that that is what happens to us in midlife. You can take that very traveled road, which our mothers took and our grandmothers took, and that is about decline, and we kind of give up, and you accept that these things just happen and there's not much we can do about it, and that is it, right? But that road, man, that's gonna lead to sarcopenia, probably osteoporosis. It's gonna lead to a whole host of other things, mobility issues. God forbid you break a bone because, we've seen the statistics on that. Many people over the age of 50, if you break a bone, I forget I wanna say it's like 20% over a period of years end up dying from it.
Well,
There's a lot of really dire consequences on that road, and we have only to look at our mothers and our grandmothers to see I've experienced this myself to see what has happened in terms of their
huh.
health. This less traveled road, which is becoming more traveled now, like a lot of us are on this less traveled road, that is a harder path. You're gonna have to work harder, right? There's a lot of weeds on this road. We're gonna have to clear the path. We're gonna have to do some work. But on the other side of that is a life that we didn't really imagine we could have based on what we were told growing old. I really think we can be vibrant in our 80s and 90s. I've seen some women who are on your Instagram. She was 100 lifting weights. Like who knows what our capabilities are really if we start this now. And yes, it's hard, but you have to get over that. A lot of women I see, they get stuck on this is hard. I'll say, let's track macros. That's a great way to know if you're in a calorie deficit. You want to lose weight, you got to be in a calorie deficit. And they get stuck on this is hard, or I don't like math, or, things like that. I think we have to toughen up a little bit. I think we have to stop telling ourselves this is hard. If you're telling yourself it's hard, it's going to be hard. If you're telling yourself, hey, I'm curious, like, how can my body change if I really master this? Approach it with curiosity and excitement. You're going to have a different experience. You're going to have the experience that you tell yourself. And you know what's hard? When I was nearly 200 pounds, I have 50 stairs I live on a hill, from the ground to my front door. I used to have to rest about halfway up the stairs because I'd get so winded. I was so out of shape. That was hard. Tracking macros, no big deal, right? So, choose your hard, right? I mean, for you, do you feel like what you do, because I know you have a very healthy lifestyle, is it hard for you or it's just part of who you are?
I think this is important to normalize these sort of things so that
Yes.
it's not unusual to have a high level of activity in your day.
Correct.
That it's not unusual or odd to, be careful about what you put in your mouth. And I think that we've sort of been narcotized. I don't know what the statistics are. I recall it's something like 60% of the American population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
I think it's higher than that as you go up in age. I have some sort of metabolic disorder.
Yes.
So, okay, 60% of the people, okay, is that normal? Is that
Right.
like, is it, okay, I guess on a population base, yes, it's normal to like hang around and, eat Doritos and,
Right.
you know, not go to sleep. And one of the things that I like what you're doing here is you're reframing things
You
and
have to.
and normalizing this other thing because as you said, you get to pick your hard. So
Exactly.
it really like to me, having a lot of tubes in my body and not being able to move and a bag full of meds and my brain's not working well, like that seems pretty hard. And the thing is we get to choose. And
Yes.
I think this is one of the things that I like about what you're doing is this idea of understanding the why and imagining this sort of other way of being and then bringing it into a practice of a way of life so that
Yes.
then it just becomes normalized. It's like, it's 10 o'clock. I go to bed.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I like what you said because I think, and I haven't really thought about it that way. It is so normal here, right? Like and I see these things on Instagram where people are like, "What kind of society do we live in where eating healthy is considered kind of on the fringe?"
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
Uh,
sad because if you go to
yeah.
other countries, it's not that way. You go to Europe, it's very different. But
Yeah.
this is, I mean, a lot of it in the US, we have been told not only the different narrative about aging and midlife and what happens, but how we're supposed to live. And so you have to really just use your wisdom and challenge these things. And does this make sense? And you have to really be intentional. And I think a lot of about living your best life is intention. Like it comes
Mhm,
down to being intentional
mhm,
and wanting the best for yourself because you deserve
mhm.
it, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah.
even here, like just to find healthy food, sometimes it's hard, right? You've got to go out of your way. So, that's why I think it's great to see other people I mean, you could say a lot about social media, but being able to connect with other people who are doing the same things
Mm,
is really helpful and inspiring because I always look, oh, what's that? What are they? Oh, I'm going to go find that. That product looks clean. Whatever it is, I feel like we're sharing even for medical advice. A lot of times our doctors don't know this stuff. And what's crazy to me is I'm not crazy, but I'm honored. We have a lot of doctors in our programs. We have doctors, we have nurses, we have all kinds of people because this is even not what our medical professionals were taught, the nutrition and the weight training,
yeah.
right? They're not telling their patients to do that. So we've got these grassroots movements online and some of the people you follow and I follow, and we're all following to learn more because things are changing. We have a real desire for this information, and a lot of us are realizing that, it's out there, we just gotta find it. You gotta be MacGyver, right? You gotta be the midlife MacGyver to live your healthiest life, which is sad, but it's kind of fun. I look at it as a challenge, and again, this is reframing. Like, what can I do? Like, what are the tweaks I can constantly make to just make sure that I'm really set up for success and I feel my best, and I'm in perimenopause to get through this weird time of life, and just come out of it stronger. And I look at it like I'm excited. And I think you have to have that attitude about it.
As Malcolm Gladwell says, I'm going to say this incorrectly, but we have brains and
Yes.
we can learn new things.
Yes.
And it's it's not impossible. You mentioned social media.
Yes.
So one of the things about social media is there's a large element of the glamorification of
Yes.
things and the sort of not the disreality of things, which can,
Yes.
give someone there's being inspired and finding aspirational directions to go in. But then there's also things that are quite I remember, I had this other career as a photographer. And I
Did you?
used
Oh,
to
I didn't
tell
know that.
oh yeah, yeah, I had this like big time I used to travel around the world, do magazines and stuff.
I could see
Uh,
that actually.
So one of the things I would tell people was that, like, supermodels are like superhumans. They're just like not regular people. And not only that, they have a team around them, made them
Yes.
look amazing. And then we get to the computer and it's this whole other thing. So, like any other person, even a supermodel would not be able to look like that without all
Right.
of that stuff. And it's like me wanting to be like a Marvel action hero. Like, this
Right.
is just not this isn't gonna
Right.
happen. So, how do you deal with that sort of thing? Like, somebody saying, like, "I wanna look like" okay, I'm just gonna like J-Lo. Okay, so J I don't know, J-Lo's,
Right. Yeah.
like, in her mid-50s, but,
Yeah.
like, there's an enormous amount of resources that go into that
Right.
how do you square that?
Right. Yeah, J-Lo doesn't look like J-Lo, right? On the weekends probably, but
No.
no, it's true. And with AI, this is only gonna get worse, but I think that we are still, our society, and again, I think even more so as in the US, we value youth so much and beauty so much, or we put such a pressure on it. We're just fed this thing, these standards are impossible. And you see people that are rejecting them. Like I like following like Paulina Poroskova. I think, she's a beautiful woman and she embraces her age. And I think that is so beautiful, right? Like when you're just you. And so I a couple things. I have so much to say about this. So I always like to say my new thing is 50 is the new 50. And what do I mean by that? You always see these things, 50 is the new 30. Women are getting fit, 50 is the new 30. No, we're not trying to look 30. Don't put that on us. Like, we're trying to look our age. I want to look my age, but I want to look like the best I can for my age. I want to embrace where I'm at. I'm not going to look 25 or 35. I don't even care to. That's not realistic. We have to be realistic about what each of us can achieve as unique individuals with unique genetics and really focus on becoming the fittest, the best, the strongest, the most energetic, the most whole versions of us as unique people. And we're going to look different. And that is okay. I get a lot of messages from women, so many messages, probably more than anything else. One of the top 5 things I get asked is about skin. What do you do for your skin? My skin is saggy. I have cellulite. I have crepey skin. I have wrinkles. I have all those things. I do just like everybody else, right? We're all going to have different levels of all of those things. We cannot worry about imperfections. I wouldn't even call them imperfections. We cannot worry about the things that naturally happen as we age. We can do do what you want to do to try to improve it, but at some point it's about acceptance and embracing yourself as you are. I also think if you're not in a place physically, maybe you are heavier than you want to be or not as fit as you want to be, you can love yourself just as you are while at the same time you are working to improve yourself. And I was someone who thought those two things were mutually exclusive. I would talk terribly to the heavy version of me, right? And dislike that version of me. And that doesn't serve us, right? Because if we're telling ourselves we don't like us, we don't like what we're feeling, we don't like how we let ourselves get here, it's going to be very hard for you to want to then improve yourself. Transformation comes from loving ourselves. So there has to be more talk about this balance of acceptance. We're not going to look like we're 30, who cares? But also becoming the best versions, because the best versions of us are going to be mobile and vibrant and have these amazing second halves. And that's what it's about. I know I'm talking a lot, but the last thing I want to say about this is I'm really concerned about AI because I already know there's fake people. Like, you go on Instagram, so these people don't exist. These are AI people, right? We're only going to see more and more of these perfect fake people or real people that are using AI to look perfect. And that doesn't help, right? Because it, again, perpetuates this impossible standard. So, for me personally, I don't use filters. I haven't gotten any. Now, I reserve my right to change my mind, but I have not gotten Botox or fillers. I may one day, but, right now, this is it. And I feel like, if I'm going to talk about accepting ourselves as we are, I'm just going to show myself as we are. And I want to show up as the authentic me, which is not perfect. And I do have all sagging skin and wrinkle and the things. I'm 54, right? I am a fit 54, but I'm 54. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to not look 20. So that was a very long-winded answer, but hopefully that I came around to your point.
I suspect that what's going to happen, and you start seeing it with the younger people now, that the valuation on the imperfection and the
Yes.
valuation on the more, how should I say, the fascination with analog film, with vinyl, with
Yes.
buying clothes in thrift stores. I don't know. I mean, don't listen to me for the futurists, but I think that you're going to see AI humans and you're going to see people
Yes.
using, I mean, you already see people putting filters on themselves. I think they look really ridiculous. I think the filters look horrible. But you
Yeah,
see that.
I do
But
too. I
then,
look back when I use them, I'm embarrassed. I'll be honest with you. I used to use them because I thought I had to show up looking a
yeah,
certain way for people
yeah,
to want to. I did. And now I
yeah,
look back at those and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like embarrassed. Like, I didn't look like
yeah,
me. Yeah.
yeah. People send me stuff like that. And I just think, oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just the face filters, like, you look different. You look
Yeah,
really different.
yeah.
I think that authenticity is going to be a commodity. I think that the people who are showing up authentically, there's going to be such, like you're saying, there's going to be this backlash, and people are going to be searching for people that look like real people, right? Like we actually look. And I think that connection and that realness is going to be an asset, actually.
I actually, to name drop, I had dinner with Paulina about 5 years
Did
ago.
you?
We had hot dogs in a bar.
I love that. That's the perfect meal. I love that.
in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And I will tell you that when Paulina walks into the bar, conversation stops. Like, it's
Mm.
just like, I don't know, I don't know, what is she, like, is 58 or something else? Or just like,
Is she 60?
maybe she's 60? But
I think she might
I
be.
I just wanna say the girl's got some genetics going on here,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like she
Yeah.
little bit of makeup, and it's like
Yes.
everybody's just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I bet, and you know what? I don't know her except on Instagram, but my impression is that she owns who she is, right? She owns who she is,
Yeah,
what it appears to me, and I think that when you carry yourself that way, it is compelling, right? When you're really comfortable with, like, "This is me."
and she's 60, she's been modeling for 50 years. So,
Right.
he has considerable practice at
Yes.
exactly that.
Yes.
I don't wanna slam
I
Paulina.
No, no, I
We
get
had a
that.
fun time eating hot dogs, but yeah,
I
she's
get that.
special.
I love the people that aren't afraid to show all the sides.
Yeah.
The imperfect 'cause I'm attracted to that too, just like most people. It's like because that's vulnerability and you can relate to that. When someone seems too perfect, you may be like, "Wow, I admire them. Their life seems amazing," but you can't really dig in, right? Being able to really dig in and feel a connection with someone has to do with them being vulnerable with you. And that's really, I think, what creates even over social media connection.
The late great photographer Peter Lindbergh talked about the terror of the pursuit of perfection. And if you start going down that road, that can get you to a pretty dark place.
Yes.
I get Botox. I love Botox.
Right. Yeah,
I think
and
I
I
look happier with
might.
Botox.
I might. You know what I'll be honest, I used to get Botox, but here's the thing a lot of people don't know. When you have more muscle, it metabolizes very quickly, right?
Oh.
It does. So it would last like 8 weeks and then it'd be gone, and I'm like, "Well, why am I" so I just sorta gave
Wow.
up. I've never gotten fillers, and again, I may one day. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and by the way, I wanna be very clear about this. If you get Botox and fillers or plastic surgery or whatever, do you. I think we all need to make the choices for ourselves that make us feel good, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with those choices, right? Right? There's nothing wrong, and like I said, maybe I'll change one day, but here this is just where I'm at right now.
I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. We'll jump right back in with Denise after a message from the sponsors who help bring you this show. Today's episode is brought to you by Fatty 15. The story here is that Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Venn Watson discovered C15 while working with the US Navy to improve the health and welfare of aging dolphins. Just a little shout out to our super aging dolphin listeners out there. Her discovery marks the first essential fatty acid to be found in over 90 years. C15 is known to work in a few ways. It repairs age-related damage to our cells, it protects our cells from future breakdown, boosts mitochondrial energy output, and activates those pathways in the body that help regulate things like sleep and mood. Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore your long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/ageist and using the code ageist at checkout. At this point in life, I've realized that recovery is not optional, it's essential. After a long day, whether it's a workout, travel, or just the stress of juggling way too much, I want something that works. Enter the Bond Charge Red Light Panel. This is real science. I use mine in the morning to energize my system, and again at night to help my body wind down and repair. It's become as routine as brushing my teeth. And here's what's interesting, it's not just about skin or muscles. It's cellular, it's mitochondrial. It's like plugging your body into a charger. Look, we're in the second half of the game. And how we show up now means everything. On Charge helps me show up better, brighter, stronger. Use code AGES15 to save 15% at checkout. Try it. Your future self will thank you. I think at age 62 or 63, I got Invisalign
Oh,
because I didn't like the way
nice.
my teeth looked. And I fixed them. And now I
Awesome.
love my teeth.
I love that, right? There's nothing wrong with changing the things that we
Yeah,
don't love about ourselves
yeah.
with if we can, right?
Within as we mentioned earlier, like, then there are always these sort of edge cases that people like to talk about, right? On the one end, we have Donatella, like
Yes. Yes.
fully her thing.
Yes.
There's Madonna. So Madonna's a performer, and
Yes.
I think she's always had a provocative career, and this is her, sort of latest provocation. She's an artist, she's a performer. Okay.
Yeah.
And people bring these up, and on the other hand, who's the other one? Justine Bateman, who
Oh, she's
is
real, right? She's just real.
like
Is that what I'm
hyper.
thinking?
So
Yes.
I'm not sure she washes her face. Like
Yeah.
like it's like, okay.
Yeah, kind of a hippie sort of
Y-
a vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone in this other direction.
Boho.
So it's like, okay, like Justine, you do you. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I think most people are sort of somewhere in the middle there. Sometimes I tell the story. I once, in my previous career, I photographed Pitanguet. What's his first name? Ivo Pitanguet. And Ivo
Mm.
Pitanguet, I photographed him in Brazil for a French magazine, and he was the inventor of plastic surgery.
Oh,
And so
wow.
all the like 80s movie stars, he did all of them, the boob
Wow.
jobs, all that. And I remember asking him, I said, "So, how do you feel about this on yourself?" And he's a very wealthy guy. He owns his own island in the helicopter and all this stuff. And he said, "I've removed all the mirrors from my house.
Interesting.
Like, I just don't want to go there." He's like, "Because if I start," he's like, "I know if I start going down that road, like I have, the expertise and the access to like do whatever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nah,
Yeah.
that's just going to get too weird. So I don't really think about that."
Yeah. I think like with anything, there are the extremes. Like that what was her name? The Catwoman?
Yeah,
Wilders,
exactly, right.
right? And I think she passed away. But she, that's that I mean, like anything, it can
Yeah,
become an
anything.
obsession. We
That's
can't
right.
be obsessed, right?
Right.
I think there is a balance. Like, but you know what I will tell you, and I was looking at her today, Demi Moore. Demi Moore looks amazing. And people throw stones at her, but I'll tell you what, whatever she's doing, she did it right. She has some muscle development, right? Like
Yeah.
she clearly is working out. Like we got to give her credit that she's taking care of herself. She's
Yeah.
doing some stuff, but she's also taking care. I think she looks incredible. So
Yeah.
you do you, who
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, do you. Brad
That's yeah,
Pitt
what
too.
like, whatever makes you happy, whatever your motivation is, whatever your why is,
Yes,
it I think that's, everybody's different. And I
exactly.
with the exception of Donatella, who I like to bring up a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
In general, it's like, whatever you wanna do. You wanna get this XYZ done? Okay, fine. Like, are you gonna or will you feel better about yourself?
right.
If so, okay. Like I said, like, I didn't used to smile because I didn't like the way my teeth looked. Now I smile all the time because I like the way that my teeth look. So it's sort of on the spectrum of these kind of things. It's
Yeah,
definitely cosmetic enhancement,
yes,
but it was just like, okay, like I can fix this. So it's a complicated thing. I think it's much less complicated for my gender. I almost never get comments from men about women.
yeah,
I get a lot of comments from women about women.
yes,
And it's like, "Oh, she doesn't look good," or
yes,
"Why did she do all this work?" or "Why is she what's this about?" And
yes,
I'm sure, like, with you with the bikini pictures, like, what's up with that?
yes.
So, I think it's really hard. Like
It is. Again, I think it's our society. We're brought up from young with these images, and for me, it was like in the magazines, right? You're probably shooting those photos in
Yeah.
the magazines, right? And so these standards, and so we were just taught that you look at women and you want to see pictures of women looking a certain way. And I will tell you, when women judge others, they're judging themselves first.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think we are our worst critics, and I think the women who are the worst judges and really, like, the ones that really are the trolls and, like, really saying terrible things to you, that doesn't come from a happy place, right? We know that they are saying even worse things about themselves. So it's sad. I really try to think about that now when I get some really harsh things. I used to, like, just be like, "Whatever, I'm just gonna block you," but I think, how sad. I try to really think from their perspective, they can't be happy doing that, and I think part of that is society and part of it is a choice. I will say one thing I wanted to mention, I get asked about a lot, we have an obsession in midlife with stomachs, okay? I will tell you, women, because, as we age and our hormones change and our estrogen goes down, the way that we hold our fat changes, it goes to the middle. And then a lot of us have stress, and cortisol can help, our midsection grow. And so we all have this issue, right? A lot of us, I want to say all. And I get so many messages from women that, like, what do I do about my stomach? We are obsessed in society, like having a flat stomach. There is this obsession. And I will tell you, my stomach's not flat most days. And the minute I have a meal, it's not flat. Like, so what? Like, we need to start accepting, who cares? Like, maybe our stomach's not perfectly flat every day. That is okay. right? That is okay. Like, let's normalize that. But then I get these messages from women that are like, how did you get your stomach so taut? And I'm afraid, this is the thing, and I get this a lot. I'm afraid to lose weight because I'm afraid my stomach will have loose skin. And that really makes me sad because we really need to just focus on it all the time. And then do you have kids? Like, how did your stomach get that way? Like, we are obsessed, right? And I really just want women to focus on, you have to get strong to have a good life because life's gonna get hard as you get older if you're not strong, right? We can't be worried about if, we have a little loose skin. That can't be a deterrent. And maybe part of this is an excuse and it's hard and it's one more thing we tell ourselves not to do it. But I think we gotta get over the surface stuff and focus on what this journey brings us beyond the physical. The physical is definitely a bonus. Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look better at all, but that's not the most significant thing.
I had a physician on a few years ago, and she said vanity is the gateway to fitness. And I think that
Yes, I think it is. I think that's very
all
nice.
for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
And then
great.
you quickly realize that there's so much more, right?
Yeah.
Like, my life personally has changed in ways I never anticipated. I was that person. I wanted to just lose weight to look better in my clothes and to fit into my clothes. And then my whole life changed through this because it's the mindset, the hard stuff. And when you work on that to create a lasting change, you raise the standard for your life. And I raised the standard for my life significantly. And my life completely changed. I have a different career. I have a different outlook. I have different dreams. I have different goals. I have a different purpose in life, all coming from transformation. And that's why I say I think we just build it's just the foundation, right?
Huh.
All the good stuff comes from that foundation we've built physically and mentally.
Because we love ourselves, we take actions to take care of ourselves, which
Yes.
validates our feelings for ourselves. And then we take more actions and bigger actions because we see the
Yes.
first ones worked.
Yes.
And
And then it just grows.
it's why they tell you to make your bed in the morning, because you
Yes.
just took an action to take care of yourself. It was a simple, easy thing. It was a win. Okay, great. What's next?
Yep.
And that's been my experience with this sort of stuff.
I agree, and a lot of women message me because I pay a lot of attention to, like, the themes, and because I'm trying to solve, like, what can I help women solve? And one of the big things is, how do you start? How do you get motivated to
Yeah.
start? And that's very complex, right? There's a lot of layers to that, but sometimes it's not about having the motivation to start, it's just about starting.
Yeah.
It's just about
Yeah.
starting, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, just do it, and
Right.
then the action actually gives you some
The-
momentum, and then you start to
the-
get more motivated, right? So it's kind of odd, but you just start, and then I think you start to feel better, and you want more, and you do more, and you start to feel a little stronger, and you wanna dig in, but yeah, it's just about starting, just about
yeah.
action
So,
first.
so many times it's just like too much thinking.
Yes,
Stop with the
exactly.
thinking, get with the doing.
Yes. I
And then
think
we can think
women
later.
Yeah, I think people think motivation is like this mythical thing that all of a sudden the clouds open and you get
Right.
this sign from the heavens that now is the time. It doesn't work that way. You just do it. And you know what? Maybe you're not ready to pick up a weight. Maybe and we have clients who have more than 100 pounds to lose. Like, it's very intimidating to start picking up a weight.
Sure.
Maybe that's not, maybe you just take a walk.
Yeah.
Maybe today you just take a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
And then maybe tomorrow you see if you can go 11 minutes,
Yeah.
or just add a little more.
That's right.
And it's just that maybe you just start eating more protein. Maybe instead of, one chicken breast a day, you have two. Whatever. You start to just make these little changes, and those little changes
Mhm.
grow to become larger changes. So I think we wait for the perfect plan, the perfect motivation, the perfect day. We wait for Monday. We wait for January 1st. We wait for all these things. We wait for when there's no holidays, no birthdays,
Yeah.
no, what trips. Like, it's got to be the perfect time. That it's all BS, right? You gotta just start, and you can start right now. If you wanna change, you can literally start as soon as you
Like,
listen to this podcast,
right
go
now.
take a walk, and
Like,
that's you starting. You
that's
know?
right. It's
Yeah.
now. It's, as
Now.
the brilliant Nike people say, you just do it and you do it
It
now.
it
And I think it's
is
important
brilliant.
that you celebrate yourself for having done it now. And you say to yourself,
Absolutely.
I did this thing. How awesome am I? Whatever that thing is, it it you took an action and
Yes.
acknowledge that to yourself because you love
Yes.
yourself. That's why you did it.
Yes, and the more you start to do those things, the more you're gonna have those feel-good things about yourself, the more
Yeah.
you're gonna wanna do this stuff. It's just like, we look as women, we're talking about body image again, we look in the mirror, we're so critical. One of the things we encourage our clients to do, and I think it is important, is to take photographs of yourself. This is the most horrifying thing on the planet, right? Taking a photograph in a bikini of yourself when you feel like garbage. When you
Yeah.
feel overweight and out of shape, that is hard. But I'll tell you what, if I didn't have those photos, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you because you wouldn't even be able to see my journey. I wouldn't be able to see my journey. Sometimes it's hard for us to see how we change just looking
Yeah.
in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
But what I really encourage women to do, if you're listening, if you're taking pictures, you're looking in the mirror every day, don't look for the things you don't like about yourself. That is automatic. The default is, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that I'm sagging here, I don't like the wrinkles here, I don't like my stomach, I don't like this. Let's actually intentionally look
Yeah.
for 3 things we like about ourselves every day.
Yeah.
I love my eyes, or I like how I look when I smile, or
Yeah.
my hair looks nice today, or, whatever it is. Maybe you love your elbows. I don't know, right? It doesn't, whatever. Let's start to look for the things we like about ourselves. That's how you start to change that mindset and have more of a positive outlook. If you're constantly telling yourself, I have wrinkles and I'm old and I look like this, you know what? That doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you and it's not going to help you change.
Denise, this has been a pleasure.
Oh,
Um,
I so enjoy talking to you.
thanks so much. I love the work that you're doing. Notice we didn't talk about progressive overload or macros
No.
or any of this because this is what we talked about is really at the base of this.
Yes.
That's the thing. First, you want to get to the techniques and the technology. Okay. That's actually
Yes.
the much easier part.
I think so.
This is the big stuff.
I think so too, and I hope that women listening, they just start. Just do it. Just
Yeah.
like Nike says, just do it.
Yeah.
And you just start with one day and you take it one day at a time, and literally every woman can change their lives. It's simply just a choice.
That's right. It's a
Yeah,
choice. We get to make the good one.
exactly. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Denise. Great to
All
speak to
right.
you again.
Likewise.
Take care.
Take care.
So that was Denise Kirtley, and this is the second time that we've had her on the show. She's great. One of the things I really like about her is her idea that you really can love yourself and still work to improve yourself. That's really what's going to power us through. And this idea of normalizing healthy behavior, normalizing fitness, normalizing eating a healthy diet versus a lot of the things that are around us in the media today that would let us think that this is somehow aberrant. I don't think it's aberrant. I like having people in, every 2 or 3 years and just touching base with them and seeing what they're up to. And Denise has made a lot of impact out in the world. I'm really glad that we had her on the show. Coming up in the magazine this week, we've got a profile on talent agency pioneer Harry Abrams, who I believe is now 90, going on 40. So, tremendous human being. He's had quite a career, a lot of legacy out there in the entertainment world. He worked with people such as Jennifer Lopez, Kerry Washington, Jerry Seinfeld, Liam Neeson, Michael B. Jordan, and more. And he's got some good stories out there. Harry's been around the block, and it's super interesting to hear how he got there. So, anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We've got a delicious and easy recipe for tofu and basil green curry, packed with fiber, plant protein, healthy fats, making it a balanced anti inflammatory dinner choice. And don't we all want that? Sometimes I just want pizza. Okay, never mind. We're going to go for the fiber and plant protein. All right, little update here. We're recording this a few days earlier, so I'm scheduled to have surgery tomorrow. I'm how can I say? I'm sort of oscillating between excitement and apprehension, leaning more into excitement. I've done a lot of research about recovery. I've done a lot of research about this surgery itself. You don't want to go into any surgery haphazardly because it's a big deal. I've got this thing, and we're gonna talk about this in 2 or 3 weeks. Once I see how all this stuff actually works, I got this recommended through Kelly Starrett via Gabby Reese, who we spoke to a couple weeks ago, and it's called an H-wave electrostim device, which should dramatically help with the healing and the pain control. But we will see. Post surgery, we'll see exactly how all this works and how mobile I am. One of the things about when you go into surgery, pre-surgery, I always ask them, so what am I going to be like? How's this going to go? Like, and they sort of give you some guidelines, but it really comes down to, well, in my case, what they find in my knee, the condition of the knee, and what they have to do in there, and sort of my general physiology will determine very much how they prescribe the stuff going forward for rehab, and then my ability to take the reins and do everything I can to push this forward. So I did a whole like eBay shopping binge the other day for all this stuff. And so we're gonna be talking about that in the next few weeks. Huge thanks to Kelly Starrett. He's got this program. I have no allegiance to this. I'm just letting you know. It was like $128, and it's 5 or 6 hours of videos around knee surgery recovery, and the best $128 I ever spent. Super informative. So we're going to try that, and we'll find out how the program works. Probably I'll have some update for you and give it a couple of weeks. I've been told the first few days are not a lot of fun, and the first 2 weeks are not much more fun than that, but then things get a whole lot better. So be an update coming on that soon. We're going to be right back with Just Try This after a final word from our sponsors.
I've spent years talking about health longevity and optimizing how we live, but here's something we don't talk about enough: what we're cooking with. Most nonstick pans are still loaded with forever chemicals, stuff like Teflon and PFAs that can leach into your food and even the air in your home. Not great. That's why I've switched to Our Place. Their cookware is completely toxin-free, high performance, and ridiculously easy to clean. Their 4-piece cookware set replaces an entire cluttered stack of pots and pans, saving space and saving you $150 when you bundle. Plus, it comes in their signature gorgeous colors. I have the cast iron always pan in sage green, and it is beautiful. Upgrade your kitchen and cook with confidence. Head to FromOurPlace.com/ageist and use code ageist for 10% off site-wide with a 100-day risk-free trial. Why wouldn't you try it?
This week, I Just Try This, I want to talk about air quality. And as they say, spring is in the air and so is everything else. So I know I get, I have seasonal allergies, and I have an air filter in our bedroom. And when I wake up in the morning, my nose is not congested. I breathe just fine. And as soon as I leave the bedroom and I go out in the rest of the apartment, it's maybe 10 minutes. I can just feel everything sort of stuffing up because there's a lot more circulating air out there, and we don't have a HEPA filter out there. That's going to be happening soon. So if you're feeling stuffy, I just want to let you know you're not imagining it. You're not alone. Indoor air can be up to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. And we're not just talking the pollen. We're talking about other bad stuff that you really don't want. So this stuff, aggravate your allergies, like what I have. Asthma causes inflammation in your body. You're getting this histamine response, not good. So here's how to clean up your air and breathe a little easier this season. So you want to swap out your filters. What I do is I put a date on my filter before I put it into my AC unit. And then I just know because I'm going to forget, right? So I open it up and I look at the date and I look at the color of the thing. A little off-white, okay. Anything past that, I change it. So you want to change these things regularly. It's going to reduce the amount of mold, dust, and allergies. It's also going to lower your electric bill. If you've got a filter in there and it's all plugged full of goop, your machine's going to be working a lot harder and cost you money. So you don't want that. So think about this as a seasonal detox for your lungs. The second thing, you want an air purifier. Like I mentioned, I have a HEPA filter. I've got it in the bedroom. My wife doesn't like the way it looks, so I don't have it out in the living room, but I'm slowly working on winning her over on that one. If you have a whole house system, AC system, you can just filter everything in one go. So you want to be thinking about lowering your indoor air pollution. It's been shown to reduce inflammation, improve your respiratory health. There's a lot of stuff out there in the air that we don't want to breathe in. And in fact, if you're living in some place like Los Angeles, the air is very not good. I live in New York City where the air is better, but it's still not awesome. And my friends in Utah, I'm sorry to say, the air quality out there in the summer is no bueno. It's actually worse than Los Angeles. So everybody beats up on Los Angeles, but there's a lot of other places out there where you're breathing stuff that you don't want. You want to think about many of these store-bought products that you get, they're going to contain VOCs, volatile organic compounds. The brain is working, volatile organic compounds, yes. And phthalates. And these are going to irritate your lungs. They're going to possibly cause hormone reactions. You don't want that. So plant-based, refillable options, much better for your health and for the planet. So that's this week on Just Try This. Think what you can do about the air that you're breathing. Make it as clean as possible. You'll be healthier and happier because you do. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to the Ageist Podcast. Share it with somebody you care about. Yes, please do that. And drop us a comment. We genuinely love hearing from all of you. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay curious, and we'll be back with you next week. Take care now.